Hello, I am Colin Weingarten. I am program manager at Onset Computer Corporation, and today I'm going to be discussing cost-effective IoT solutions for cold chain visibility. Now, I know that's a mouthful and a pretty flashy title, but all I'm really saying is let's talk about some solutions for complex supply chains and figure out ways to increase visibility and reduce costs, create efficiencies, and all that kind of fun. And I promise you, even though we're in quarantine, I am not in pajamas. I am dressed appropriately for a presentation, so I'm nothing like in the picture there, but I am maintaining proper etiquette at least. So I will be going through just a couple of logistics here for the webinar. If you cannot hear me, just check to make sure that all your audio inputs are correct. If you do have any questions, please enter in questions at any time into this box here, and they will be sent to me, and I'll go through them at a couple different points during the presentation. The webinar is going to last about 60 minutes, and this recording will be made available to all of you at the end of it. So let's talk about why everyone's here. Obviously, cold supply chain has become very complicated over the years, especially as they grow and you have new customers, growing markets, you have increasing regulations with governmental bodies. There's a lot happening, and we're trying to figure out better ways to simplify things, to make them more automated. And a lot of processes today, they're having to take one file and compare it to another file, bring it all together. And our solutions here are going to be looking at how to automate all this and how to put all the essential information together so that you can, again, reduce costs, create efficiencies, and make things so much easier for your cold supply chain. So current options today, we have cellular devices. They're great, but they're expensive and require extensive and costly return logistics to reuse those loggers. You have near field communication, which are an inexpensive alternative, but they're not really suitable if you are trying to do a lot of automation. They require very close proximity to read the loggers. And then you have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi loggers. Relatively inexpensive as well. When you combine them with gateways, that's when you're enabling automation and getting a lot more from the system in terms of shipments and notifications and downloading and all that. So our solution is in fact Bluetooth, and here is a diagram kind of explaining how all the things are connected. Our loggers are talking to either mobile devices or a gateway. You can use the gateway and mobile devices together, and those in turn talk to InTempConnect cloud platform, which will store and share all your data. So we are using Bluetooth solutions. And there is a complete family of loggers that include ambient, refrigeration, dry ice, and cryo solutions. Our gateways are what create automation. So those communicate with the loggers, they'll program, download them, they'll help send out reports automatically. And again, it all connects to our cloud solution, which is where all the data is going to be housed. And it allows you to send reports, analyze data, and complete everything you would need for your cold supply chain needs. So we're going to take our solution, and I am going to go over how to apply it to shipments specifically. Last year, Onset implemented a new feature that allows you to actually create shipments within InTempConnect or cloud platform. So we're going to go over that, as well as what shipping studies are and how that can help you to reduce costs and create efficiencies within your supply chain. So first, we'll go over the InTempConnect cloud platform. And just a little bit of a highlight on our system here. It is a easy to manage, free, secure cloud database. There is a lot of customizable features with it. So you can customize access, customize permissions, customize reports. It is a very flexible program that allows you to really customize the needs to your specific process. It has intuitive alert and notification set up so that you can be automatically notified of any loggers that have alarms or be sent automatic data reports. There's advanced search tools and analytics. And of course, our system is fully validated, 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, GDP, GLP, and CDC compliant. When you combine the cloud solution with the gateway, again, that's where you're going to achieve a lot of automation, where the gateway has the ability to talk to our data loggers via Bluetooth and either program and start them up or download them, connect to them if there's any alarms, and then notify the system that it needs to send out any alerts to you or any notifications or reports. The gateway and the system overall does ensure 100% data recovery, meaning even if your gateway does go down or if your internet goes out, everything's going to be stored on the loggers or the gateway so that everything is there. And as soon as everything comes back up and everything's up and running again, it shoots it right back up to the cloud. It does have secure wireless or Ethernet transfers. It is a very secure system, and it does help to enable real-time alerts, mostly for our storage applications. You can also pair this with our InTemp mobile app, where you're able to connect with loggers within a 100-foot range and view and manage loggers from there. So this can give you real-time data as long as you're in range of those loggers to see what the temperatures are. You can download them from there. You can configure and program the loggers if you need to. And all this will also sync automatically to the cloud. So these are solutions you can use to help create shipments within our InTempConnect cloud system. And as I mentioned, just last year, we implemented a new feature where you can actually create real shipments within our program and then be able to track the status of the loggers within the shipments. And by status, I mean you can see when loggers have been fully programmed and started, and also when they've been fully downloaded. You can use our solution to coordinate with 3PLs and other cold chain partners to create waypoints. So keep in mind, this is not a cellular solution, so that you're not going to get real time while it's in transit, but you can use our gateways and our solution to have at every single one of your 3PLs and supply chain partners, so that whenever it hits one of those points, you're going to get a report and be able to get some more visibility throughout your supply chain that way. You can add data tags, and this is going to become really essential, and I'll go into much more depth later on in the presentation. But you can add these data tags to collect essential information beyond just temperature data. So you could collect information such as your courier name, your shipping method, where it's going, origin, destination, anything you can possibly think of, you can add as a data tag. And again, I'll explain why this becomes really important when it comes to creating shipments with our solution and how it can help reduce costs and create efficiencies. And again, our gateway is what completes this process. So it's what allows automation to occur. So to create shipments, I'm going to kind of take you through steps to get to the point where you're able to actually create a shipment within our program. And the first thing I want to go over is creating locations. So you can actually tag our gateways with an actual location. Our system for creating locations is powered by Google Maps. So you can see in my example, I just put in the name of our company, and Google Maps pulled up a map below along with the address, lat and longitude. So it verified the address. And then I was able to add area and room. So I can say receiving department, shipping department, lab, anything you want that to be. And you can actually apply these locations to the gateway. So the gateway becomes much more intelligent now. It now knows where it's located, and you can apply those same locations to the loggers. So once you apply locations to both the loggers and the gateways, what happens is the origin gateway, so where you're starting the shipment, now knows automatically when it sees one of those loggers programmed with that origin location that I need to automatically program you with specific details, with the correct behavior, and then start you up so that you're not having to do that manually. So the gate will do that automatically. It'll start it up for you. You can put it on the shipment. You can put delays in there so that it isn't recording information immediately. It can record it a half hour, an hour, whatever you want to be later. And then when it gets to a destination, again, it reads the logger and sees, okay, you were programmed with this destination location. So I know now that I need to download you and either stop, restart, or let you continue recording. You have 3 options there. So if the logger does not have the proper location for that gateway, if they don't match up, then the gateway just says, okay, I'm not supposed to do anything with you. You're not my final location. I'm going to ignore you until you get to your final location. So again, once you add these locations, it creates a much more intelligent system and really helps to automate your processes so that all you're really having to do is press a button to wake up the logger. And then the next thing you know, the gateway is programming it, starting it, and then gets to a destination. It is downloading it and then either stopping, restarting, or allowing the logger to continue record data. And then it also sends a signal up to InTempConnect to say, okay, we need these different reports because the download is done, but I'll get into that a little bit later as well. Next thing I want to highlight is creating logger profiles. So this is how our loggers can be configured to meet any of your needs, really. You can set your high and low alarm temperatures here. You can program how often you want it to record data. You can select cloud alarms, which are basically just alarms that you will see in your reports only that help you to do additional analysis, especially if you need to see stability data. If you need to assess stability data, you can use the cloud alarms and also select mean kinetic temperature alarms and analyze based off of that. Another really important feature with this is you're able to name your loggers so that you're more able to easily figure out what logger is which. You can name it by the shipment name, or you can name it by a patient name or a delivery name or whatever you need it to be. So that, let's say if you're using the app, you can quickly identify what that logger is and be able to do what you need to do with it. So created locations, we've applied them to the gateway and the loggers. We created profiles for the loggers themselves so that they know how to behave. Now we're going to actually create the shipment within InTempConnect, and there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can do it one by one, creating creating something that just one shipment, or you can program via Excel file where you can do multiple shipments at once. So on the right here, what you're saying is kind of the first option where you can program just an individual shipment. You could put in your shipment ID in there, and then you have your origin and destination, which is the locations we set up beforehand. You can choose what loggers you want to use. So our 500s are for refrigerated and ambient. Our 600s are for dry ice, and our 700s are for cryogenic. And then you can apply the logger profile, which again states the high and low and the recording interval, the name of the logger. You can apply that to all the loggers. And then also fill out trip information, which again, I was talking about before, you can make anything you want. They are just data tags, and you have a lot of flexibility with this. But I will again go into this a little bit later on so I can describe more the importance of these. Within the system, you can also view the logger status. So again, if you have multiple shipments going out at once or several loggers that need to go out at once or are being downloaded at once, you can see when an entire shipment has been fully programmed. So let's say you have 20 loggers within a shipment. If you have those going out and you're shipping them, you can see that if they're partially configured and ready to start, or if they're fully configured, so you know when they're all ready to go, when all 20 loggers are ready to go. And same thing for download. You can see when all 20 loggers have been downloaded or when they're in progress. So you have a little bit more visibility to see when the process is actually completed. So once you have completed a shipment, you now have, again, a lot of flexibility in how you want to view your data and how you want to create reports. This is just an example of one logger, which you could see I had a little fun with and went all over the place in heat and freezing and kept it in range a little bit. So this is a good example of what our system looks like. And one thing to highlight here is the ability to segment your data. What that means is you can actually use our system to exclude data from a report. Now, keep in mind, this is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, which means you can never erase data, you can never manipulate it, but you can at least exclude it from the report and say that this is the new shipment start, the new shipment end, because everything before and after those points are not indicative of the true shipment. So if they're just sitting on a floor getting ready for a shipment and they record an alarm, and you can then go say, well, that wasn't indicative of the actual shipment. You can also add an annotation, and you can add as many of these as you want. So for example, I put in there sitting on a tarmac. You can do whatever you want to explain excursions or how you resolved an excursion or what was done with the product. And then some additional features within our system is you can obviously export the data into reports, and you can do custom reporting. But you can also download your NIST certificate. This is a feature that we just implemented very recently, so you can go in and download the certificate for that logger at any point in time. Notifications. So again, you're using a combination of the InTemp cloud platform and our gateway to automate notifications. So whenever a gateway, or if you're using the app, to do a download, you can create notifications to alert you immediately. Let's say if there was an alarm or when the download was done, and you can get data reports sent in that notification. So not only have you automated the process of programming and starting the loggers, downloading and stopping the loggers, you have also automated the process of creating reports. And then this is to highlight our more customized reporting. So you can get the regular reports from data notifications, or you can export a report from that data view that I showed you before. Or you can go into our system and say, okay, I want to see only these loggers, only these downloads, and I want to see information grouped by this specifically, so that you can really organize and show the data the way you need it to. So I'm going to take a break here now and kind of open it up for about 5 minutes of questions. If there aren't that many questions, and we'll keep moving, but I want to give you the chance to ask any questions about anything that I've covered so far. Looks like we got a couple so far. Question 1, How does having different accounts work with the shipments? Do all the gateways and loggers need to be in the same account? So you can really customize how you want this to work, but basically, if you want to have data sent to a very specific account, then the gateway needs to be programmed to that account. So when you go to configure a gateway, you are configured under a certain account, which means anytime a gateway downloads data from the logger, it's going to send data to that one account. If you have multiple accounts in our system, we do have a very easy way to switch back and forth. It's really just a couple of clicks between different accounts so that you can view data for each one. If you're trying to just segregate data, what you can do is you can add data tags or trip fields. It's what we call them in our system, so that you can make sure you're really organizing the data you want and making sure you're having the data sent to the people you want. So let's say you are delivering, or let's say you have multiple 3PLs within your supply chain. You can have the first one, and they're all connected with their gateways. So the first one will be named 3PL number 1, 3PL number 2, 3PL number 3. You can set it up so that data for only 3PL1 gets sent only to that entity. So there's a lot of customization there, and you can make sure, again, you can get the data wherever it needs to go. So if you do have multiple accounts, like I said, the loggers and the gateways do belong to a specific account, but you can easily switch back and forth between accounts if that's how you want to set it up, or you can use data tags to achieve essentially the same thing. Question 2, are the state and county noted in the trip information the ones we are shipping from or where we are shipping to? So those are actually just examples that I put up there. Data tags, again, can be anything you want. You can make that courier, you can make that shipping method. So those are just some examples that I put up there myself, and you'll see a screenshot soon to get a better sense of how customizable it really is. The locations you create, now that's outside of the data tags or the trip fields. Those will be specific to your origin and destination. When you create a location, it gets set up as both a origin and a destination, so that if you end up shipping to yourself by the end of the day, so if you do a full circle, you can program it that way. Question 3, can data recorded by the logger integrate with a current fleet management system? Yes, that is a great question. We do specialize in integrating our system with other systems. We have done it for major tier 1 pharmaceuticals with their ERP systems, and we have done single sign-on with apps. So we do have the ability to integrate our system with other systems to create a more seamless solution, so that if you want to use your systems, it can communicate with InTempConnect and complete everything automatically, so you're not having to go from system to system back and forth. Another question, can loggers associated to one account be connected and downloaded to a gateway in another account? No, they cannot. So we make sure that there is security in the sense that that data is being sent to the correct location. So we want to make sure that your data is secure and not going into incorrect accounts. We do intend to create something we will call a blind transfer, and sometime in the future, not sure when that'll be yet, where it will give the gateway the ability to download a logger despite where it comes from. More details will come about that later on once we actually start work on it. But now a logger, a gateway does need to be part of an account in order for it to go up to your particular cloud. Tabular data is referring to just how you want to organize your data. So it could be organized by the shipment, it could be organized by trip information. So it's just a way to organize your data and group it more efficiently. And yes, there are definitely APIs available. We have a suite of APIs that if you want to learn more about, you can message me and we can go through what APIs are available. But yes, we do have APIs, again, to create integrations with your particular systems. So I'm going to keep moving on now, and there will be a couple more sessions for questions, and I'll keep going through these. So now we're going to talk about shipping studies. So shipping studies is really just a study designed to determine the environmental conditions your product is being exposed to while in transport. That's a very high level general definition of what it is. And these are something that are required by regulators for, and you can do it a couple of different ways. You can either monitor every shipment with a logger to prove that your product was maintained in the correct conditions throughout the entire shipment, or you can also validate and qualify certain aspects of your cold chain. So that would be the route, the shipping route itself. It could be courier, it could be a package type. Different countries have different regulations around that, so you'll definitely have to look up to see, where you're shipping to, what they do require, if it is every shipment, or if a validation qualification is sufficient. But those are generally the options that you'll have to go for. And the primary objective of these are to measure temperatures within a specific origin and destination or a specific route. And what you're doing is you're ensuring product efficacy and making sure the product hasn't gone bad and that it still works the way it is intended to work, by analyzing all the environmental data that it was exposed to during that transport. And of course, all that falls under QA analysis. The secondary objectives, the more business oriented objectives, and what I really want to focus on are ways to really help you reduce costs and create efficiencies. So reducing product spoilage, giving you ways to collaborate with supply chain partners, reducing costs and creating efficiencies by analyzing your current packaging or your shipping methods or even your couriers. So there's a lot of benefits outside of just having to do it because regulators are telling you to do it. There are a lot of benefits to doing these that will really help you reduce your costs. So with our solution, we're trying to achieve two things. We're trying to create efficiencies and reduce costs in your actual supply chain process. And we're doing that by giving you a system that creates a lot of automation and gives you the flexibility you need to create the exact types of reports and analyze the data exactly the way you need to. And then we're also giving you a system that gives you the flexibility to analyze data just beyond environmental temperature data. So again, figure out what are the different factors that you want to pay attention to, whether it be packaging or shipment method. So here's some just general guidelines to shipping studies. So one thing that it can be a lot for customers or for entities that are doing shipments is the basic scientific method. I know it seems obvious, but it's something that can be missed and auditors will obviously pick on. But one thing you want to do is you obviously want to limit any potential variables to as few as possible, obviously trying to get it to one. So if you're looking to analyze your current packaging, you're just going to analyze that one package, right? Or that one courier or that one shipping method. And then you want to make sure it's a statistically relevant sample size. So the magic number here is 30. So if you have an origin and destination and you're just monitoring the route itself, do it 30 times. If you're doing packaging, send that package out 30 times. So you want to make sure you have enough data to succinctly say whether or not something is working. And then you want to make sure you define the shipping route in a lot of detail. So Creating a shipping study or doing a shipping study itself is fairly easy, especially when you're automating the system through gateways in the cloud system. It's the paperwork that can get a little bit tedious, where you got to be very specific about what you're doing and the purpose you're doing it for. So you're going to want to define your shipping route in detail. So the origin and destination, what are your waypoints if you're going to analyze that? Who are you using for couriers, package types, shipping methods, and then you're going to want to leave room to put in stuff like when the shipment went out, when it arrived, and any other um, information that you would deem to be necessary for any auditing. So to set up a shipping study, we're going to look at two different common ways of sending a shipment. Of course, you can have your individual shipments, which might be in a small container or a small package. You're looking at 1 to 5 loggers if you're doing just that, or if you're doing a large shipping container, it's probably going to be somewhere between 20 to 25 loggers per shipment. And the way you would want to set this up is you would have, if you're doing 25 loggers, you would have 5 rows of 5, and each row would have 2 loggers at the top, 1 on the left and 1 on the right, 2 loggers at the bottom, left and right, and 1 in the middle. This is commonly referred to as the Z pattern or the X pattern, but you're just making sure that you're testing the worst case points, really. So the borders of the shipment and the interior of the shipment. So the least insulated and the most insulated parts of that shipment. And then you can determine how you want to actually place the loggers themselves, whether it's on the outside of the packaging or inside of the packaging. Have different outcomes, obviously. So whether or not you want to see just in general what kind of conditions are your products being exposed to, you put on the outside, or if you want to actually look at actual temperatures within the package itself, of course, you put it on the inside. One thing to note is you want to keep these loggers away from walls and any thermal contributors unless you're placing them there on purpose. So especially if you have a controlled environment, it is good to put loggers in there just to see where thermal contributors are coming from. So if you have a reefer unit, you're going to want to put a logger there to make sure that the reefer is working the way it's intended to. So most reefers these days will also produce a report that you can download and you can compare it to the temperatures that our data logger is saying to make sure that they match up and to make sure that it's working the way it's supposed to. You can put loggers near the doorways and the walls to see what kind of ambient temperatures are coming through. One question I saw before today was, how do you determine worst case positioning? In general, of course, it's best practice to keep your product away from any of these types of contributors so that they're not being exposed to extremes. But if you do need to figure out worst case positions where you might want to avoid product or placing product, even if it's in a storage container, you can obviously look at the points where there was the highest and lowest extreme temperatures, or you can look at the points where temperatures were over the higher low points for the longest. So you're either looking at temperature extremes or time in extremes. And another general tip is you should condition your loggers prior to a shipment to prevent unwanted excursions. We do have, again, the segmentation feature where you can segment any unwanted data out of there, but to make things cleaner, it's good to condition the loggers before they actually get put on the shipment so you're not seeing those excursions happen beforehand. So I'm going to talk about now reducing costs. Actually, I'm going to open up to questions again to see if anybody has any questions about basic shipping studies, how they're done, why they're done. So any questions regarding that, I'll just give it a couple minutes and then I'll talk about reducing costs and creating efficiencies with our system and through shipping studies. Going back to a previous question, can you use your gateway with any logger? Yes, the gateway can be used with any of the Onset InTemp loggers. So the 400, 500, 600, and 700 series can all be used with the gateway and the InTemp app. Do you have any shipping studies in bare roots plants? You can definitely do a shipping study for anything you want to. I am fortunately not familiar with that industry and not very familiar with the regulations. We do have a complete other side to the Onset business, which does monitor things such as that. They are different systems, but I can definitely, if you want to reach out to me later on, I can direct you to the correct person to discuss that. Is it possible to put two gateways to recover data from a traveling logger, one at the origin location and the other at the destination? So yes, that's exactly what you want to do, actually. You want a gateway at the origin so that it can program and start loggers, and one at the destination so that it can to download and stop or restart or continue recording the loggers. Those gateways will just belong to the same account so that they work together. They're sending all the data to the same account. And again, the location can be cyclical so that a location can be both an origin and a destination. Do you have a backup server for cloud data? Yes, our cloud is based on, or is powered by Amazon Web Services, which has plenty of redundancy in just about every aspect. So it is extremely secure. And it does have backup servers. We have backup servers for other things in-house, but the InTempConnect cloud platform is specifically hosted on Amazon Web Services, which does have redundancy. All right, we're going to move on to reducing costs and creating efficiencies. So again, we've talked about the solution Onsets offers in terms of the cloud system and automation. We talked about what shipping studies are and why they're essential and how beyond just basic regulations, they can help reduce costs. So now we're going to kind of put it all together and show you how the system can help you create shipping studies and then reduce costs and create efficiencies within it. And it's really based off of our trip fields or our data tags again. This is what's really key here. So in this example, what you're seeing here on the right, this is an example of me creating a brand new trip field. So you have a space there for your name. And that's what I mean by it's very or 100% customizable. You can put anything you want in there and that will become a data tag. So when you program the logger, that data tag can be attached to it. So you're collecting additional information on top of temperatures. So if you look below, I chose a value type list. You can also have a text field. You can have date and time as well. Those are the three options. So if a list doesn't make sense, you can use the text field and type it in manually. But with a list here, when you're going to program a logger, this list will pull up and the person who's configuring the logger will have the ability to say, okay, this logger is going on a plane, this logger is going on a boat, this logger is going with this courier or is being used in this packaging. And that's where the system is extremely powerful. You can now use this data and really analyze very specific things within your shipping routes and within your cold chain environment. So again, let's look at packaging. So you can look at a particular package, do a shipping study with just that one package, test it to extremes, and then you can determine how effective is it. And you can also assess that risk. So you can say, okay, my product is fairly low risk. It can be exposed to a wide range of temperatures. The packaging I have is very effective, but it's also very expensive. And this other packaging that I tested is way less expensive. It does come with some risk. I might lose maybe 2% of product with any given shipment, but that's an acceptable loss. So you find out that, okay, the packaging, by switching to this packaging, I'm saving more money than what the acceptable loss is. So that's the things that you can really look at with our system and use our data tags for with anything. So again, method is 2-day air working out for you, or can you drop down to truck service or boat and go even cheaper? Or do you need to go expensive because you have very sensitive product and you need the best of the best? Is your shipping route okay? Or is it getting caught up in customs? Or is it being left on tarmacs? Or is it being held up at your 3PL? So you can assess 3PL performance. You can assess courier performance. And that's where we can get into creating efficiencies. So you now have some visibility to see, okay, how are my couriers doing? Are we getting a lot of alarms with a certain courier or with a certain 3PL? Are we seeing a lot of alarms with them? If so, let's talk with them. Let's figure out what's going on, why are these alarms coming up, and work it out so that they can become more efficient. And then, of course, through automation. So our system, again, I know I've said this a few times, but really stressing the point here, our system does wonders for creating a lot of automation and creating efficiency within your cold chain process. It automates the logger program, the downloading, it automates the reports, it automates notifications, so alarm alerts, especially, we're going a little off topic here, but if you're doing storage as well, you can get notified if anything in storage is alarming immediately. So our system can really create a lot of automation, and then combining it with all these other features, you can create actual shipments in our system, collect additional information beyond temperatures, and really analyze different ways that can help reduce costs and create efficiencies within your process. So I'm going to briefly go over our products, and then I will open up again at the very end for questions. There will also be a short poll that we'll have. But first, going over some of the products we have for refrigerated and ambient shipments. We have our CX502 and 503 loggers. The 502 is a 90-day single use, so the battery lasts for 90 days upon starting it. And the CX503 can be used as many times as you want, and the battery will last for a year. You can see the accuracy and the operating range below, so that covers a fairly wide range of temperatures, and it's very accurate. They are NIST calibrated and come with a 1-year certificate. They have visual LED indicators for alarm status. Beyond that, you can again use our app so that you can look at actual temperatures in the app, so real-time data within the app as long as you're close to or within 100 feet of those loggers. You can also view alarms there. If you're using a gateway, it's in range of the gateway will pick up an alarmed logger immediately and notify you. So there's many things you can use for getting alarm notifications. The loggers can hold up to 14,000 measurements. It has a very high IP rating, IP67, so they are built for travel. They are built to be dropped. They can get wet, they can get dust in it. They are built to last. And of course, they are IATA battery compliant, so you can put them on planes or whatever you need to do to ship them. Our 600 series loggers are for dry ice. Sorry, having a little technical difficulty, but it's for dry ice. Again, you have a 90-day single use and a multi-use. NIST calibrated with 1-year certificate, again, visual LED indicator. This has up to 16,000 measurements, IP65, and IATA battery compliant again. Hopefully, sorry. There we go. And then 700 loggers. These are for your cryo shipments. Again, 2 different offerings, single use, 90-day, and multi-use. Very similar in everything else to the dry ice loggers, but of course these are built for cryo, so negative 200 Celsius to 50 Celsius. And again, pretty good accuracy for a cryo logger. And then just a little history on Onset itself. We are considered a world leader in data loggers, founded in 1981. Currently, we have 140 employees about there. I think we've grown a bit since this. We do have a global network of distributors. So if it isn't most convenient to order directly with us, we're located in Massachusetts. We do have global distributors to make things a little bit easier. Our sole focus is on data logging and monitoring. So we truly are experts in this. We are coming up with great solutions to really help automate your supply chain solutions and make things, make sure you're reaching all your compliance needs and so forth. And of course, we are ISO 9001 2015 compliant, and we are a lean company. So we do our best to make sure we're doing things efficiently and the best way possible. And as you can see, as the screen moves around a little bit, we are environmentally conscious as well. We got a bunch of solar panels on top of the roof. So we do our best to also make sure that we are practicing good environmental practices. All right, so that is the end of the presentation. I'm gonna open the rest of it to questions. Of course, if there are any additional questions after this, you can reach out to us to ask those questions. And if you want to learn more about the solutions, I can definitely set up viewings for you so you can look at our solution more in depth. I can show you over a GoToMeeting the actual cloud system if you want to take a tour of that. And you can obviously reach out to me if you're looking to order some of our loggers. So let me answer, actually before that, I think we were gonna do a poll. And the poll is just to kind of get a better sense of whether or not you're actually using our loggers and who you are. So just trying to get a better idea of what kind of company you are, so that we can figure out who is specifically looking for our solutions. So we're at the first poll here, and it's just asking, are you using InTemp loggers or another type of logger? Or you're not using loggers at all? All right. So looks like those of you who have put it in are doing that already. So this one is, again, just to kind of get a better sense of what kind of company you are. We have shipping, cold chain, refrigeration, storage, pharmaceutical, clinical trial, hospital, clinic, pharmacy. If you don't see something that fits here, we do have a second one that continues this list. So it might be on the second list if you're not sure what to answer. Okay. And then we should be moving on to the third one real shortly. Again, this is just if you're not any of these, or if you already answered, you don't have to do this one. Or if one of the other ones didn't meet exactly what you are, then you could choose one of these. And while that is going, I will take a look at questions again. So, first question I have is the field name the same as the logger label? So I'm going to assume no. I'm not sure in which case the field name or what point you're referring to the field name. Logger label is specifically for the logger, though. That's to name the logger. Anything else is specific to the feature in InTempConnect. That's where you typically see field name. So anytime you see logger label, that's when you know it's specifically to name the logger. Um, Someone is asking about a light sensor. We do not have a light sensor with any of the InTemp products currently. It's something we'll probably consider in the future. I can't say for sure when that will be, but it's definitely something that we are aware is a need in the market. Is it possible to add GPS data to view the trip and the map? Unfortunately, not at the moment. We do not have any GPS or cellular loggers. Um, Again, if you have a system that you're using, we can look at doing custom integrations between the two systems so that we can send data to another, and then you might be able to overlap it that way. We are definitely doing work with Power BIs, ERP systems, and other types of systems, including custom apps that companies might have. We do hope to look into getting a cellular logger solution at some point, but like the light sensor, again, it's something I'm not sure when we're going to get to at the moment, but it is something we are definitely aware of as a need in the market. The prices of the CX502 and 503, I am pretty sure they're around $100. Um, I would have to look that up again real quick, but I'm pretty sure it's right around $100 or so. Of course, with the multi-use logger, the 503, if you think per use, the price of that comes down quite substantially. So if it is $100, the number of times you use it, the price per use goes down. The 502 is a one-time use logger. I know it's a bit cheaper than the 503, but not substantially. If you do go to the Onset website, there is another sub-site that has a vaccine and logger, I'm sorry, pharmaceutical, vaccine, hospital section, as well as courier transportation. If you look in the product list there, you will find all of the prices. They have a product list with absolutely everything, especially if you're looking into our 400s with different cord lengths and different glycol bottles. So there definitely is a full set of pricing on the website. If you're going through a distributor, then distributors also have their own distributor prices. But again, you can go on the Onset website and look for the InTemp solution and find prices there. Can you track logger's temperature from a great distance while a package is being shipped, for example, overseas? So our solution, again, is Bluetooth. So for the loggers to work with the gateway or with an app, it does have to be within range of the either device within 100 feet or 30 meters. So again, you can create waypoints within your cold supply chain so that your 3PLs and your cold chain partners all have gateways, and each gateway can do a download so that you're able to get much more visibility. But if it's not within range, then you won't be able to view data in real time while it's on a plane or on a boat or whatever it might be. Again, we're really hoping to look into cellular GPS solutions in the near future, but at the moment we do not have those. So one person is asking about, again, a cost of loggers, and if there's any way to bring down the pricing. I do know we do give pricing breaks in terms of quantity. You can definitely call in and talk to a sales representative about our pricing. The reason why our InTemp loggers are more expensive than our Hobo loggers, which is the other side of the business, is because they are NIST calibrated. So that's the major difference. And NIST calibration is absolutely mandatory for pharmaceuticals, life science in general, healthcare, hospitals, that kind of thing. So you are definitely going to want to make sure that if you're using it for any of those applications or in those markets, that it is NIST calibrated. Someone has asked, has the CX501 been discontinued? Yes, unfortunately, it has been. We have found that the price point between the two is very minimal. Between that and the 502 is fairly minimal, and that the CX502 is much more useful for our customers. So we decided to discontinue the 501, but the 502 is definitely a good alternative. And again, you can talk to a sales rep about price points if that is a concern. There wasn't much of a difference in price between the two to begin with. And again, I do know we have worked out with customers bulk pricing, so in order quantities to reduce the price a little bit. That looks like that is the end of questions for now. Oh, one more. How can I set, or how do I know the correct number of loggers needed? Is it based on volume or area they are being used? So that's a really good question. It's really about risk. You can also look into regulations to see how many loggers they recommend, but it is a lot about risk. So how sensitive is your product? Is it highly sensitive? Then you're going to want to put a lot of loggers in there to make sure there aren't any points anywhere that are going to experience extreme temperatures, or if there are, at least you know where those point or positions are so that you cannot store any product there. If it's not so sensitive, then you can go a little bit less or whatever you feel is really comfortable. We do have some basic warehouse mapping recommendations in terms of spacing, but for, again, shipping, that's more about the size of the package or the size of the container. So if it's an individual package, you might just use one, or if it's a large package, you might use up to 5. Container might be anywhere between 25 and 25. But again, that's something you should really kind of make the judgment call on in terms of risk and how sensitive your product is. How do you get our temp loggers recalibrated when calibration expires? So only our 400 line can be recalibrated. The 5, 6, and 700s are not up for recalibration. It's only the 400 CX400 loggers. If you are using those, you can go onto our website and then put in requests through there. You can also call our client services and request to start the recalibration process. We do track who buys our 400 loggers, and we send out, this is a fairly new thing, we are now sending out notifications about a month ahead of time before they're due for recalibration, just to remind you. But you can, again, go to our website or call our client services to start that process. All right. It's another question real quick, and this will be the last question. So if you do have any more questions beyond this, again, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is up there. You can also reach out to a client services team or a sales team. Um, and the question is, if we have 100 CX503 loggers, can one gateway handle all of them? The answer is yes. So the gateway can technically handle as many loggers as you want, but what it does is it batches them into groups of 20. So let's say the gateway is trying to download 100 loggers. It will take the first 20, download those, and queue the rest of the loggers for downloading after that batch of 20 is done. So obviously you'll need to be conscious of how many loggers you have in terms of how long it'll take to download those loggers. But if you're using our shipment feature, you can easily see whether the whole shipment has been downloaded or just partially downloaded. So you get that visibility there to see when every single downloaded logger has been downloaded within the shipment. But again, it batches them in groups of 20. So I want to thank all of you for attending. We really appreciate your interest. And if you're using our loggers, your continued business, we hope to create some great solutions with you in the future, especially custom solutions with integration and with our your ERP systems or your Power BI systems, whatever it might be. We really think that this solution can help you reduce costs, especially with your processes, and allow you to analyze data so you can reduce costs internally. Again, thank you so much for attending. We hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much.